Hi guys, in this video I'll be showing you how a low stat line Deinotherium squad does against all the bosses on the island in Ark Survival Ascended. These are the stats I'm using. I got two parents, one with decent HP and the other with decent melee. I mixed these stats but got a few mutations, but to keep things realistic I used the middle set of stats. These are my base stats with no mutations. These are my imprinted stats. And finally, these are my level stats that all Deinotherium will be using during this video. For the fights, I'll be using only Deinotherium with no supporting dinos. They're quite big, so fitting them all properly can be actually challenging, but you can do this if you're really careful and have a lot of time to crunch. But for these fights, I'll be using 18 Deinotherium. For the Gamma boss fight, I'll be using primitive saddles on all my dinos. I launched the Gamma fight, and after a few seconds, I noticed that their size was going to be an issue, especially when you're doing this solo. A lot of my Deinotherium weren't able to actually get into the fight, even when I was trying to maneuver them and get them around, so we were losing some DPS. I also noticed that due to having multiple males in my group, I was only able to get the female defensive buff. But this defensive buff did help mitigate some damage. We managed to take out the Gamma broodmother in under 5 minutes, even without the damage buff from the males. After checking all my tames after the fight, we had sustained very minimal damage at the end, like there was literally no damage done. So next, I tried the beta broodmother. After all the success we had with the Gamma, I actually decided to keep everything exactly the same, including the multiple males, leaving me with only the defensive buff. The fight started with the same issue as before, some of the Deinotherium being stuck out of attacking range, but still taking damage from the broodmother. Even with this, we still managed to do reasonably well. This beta fight did take a toll on my Deinotherium, with a lot of them taking heavy damage, but most of them were still hovering just above half hit points. This is still quite impressive, especially when you account that they had primitive saddles on. Most wild stat line dinos would actually struggle with beta broodmother with primitive saddles. For the alpha fight, a few changes were made. I swapped out all but one of my male Deinotheriums for females. This would allow me to now use the defensive and offensive buff. I also changed out all the saddles from 20 armor primitive to around 40 and 50 armor saddles as shown in the video. I launched the boss fight and things were a lot more intense. The broodmother was hitting super hard as she always does, but we mitigated some of that damage with our saddles and that defensive buff. The offensive buff from the male I was riding did some decent DPS addition. I saw roughly 150 to 200 DPS added while the buff was active. Even though we were holding strong, the damage we were sustaining with no healed from any other support dinos, so our HP started dwindling. I ended up losing 2 Deinotherium during the fight, and around 6 of them were kinda hanging on by a thread, like one more hit and they were done. This was still really indeed impressive, but the question is, are they a good boss dino for the broodmother? In my opinion, they are a solid boss dino. I would recommend them as a support dino that can actually support, buff, and unlike some of the others, can actually hit kind of hard. Next, I did the megapithecus fight. For this next fight, I'll be using 19 Deinotherium with the following loadout: 1 male and 18 female, saddles ranging from 48 to 53 armor, and no veggie cakes. I'm doing this with no veggie cake because I want to see the difference between the alpha broodmother and the alpha megapithecus DPS wise. So that being said, I jumped straight to the alpha megapithecus. You may have been wondering why 19 Deinotherium. Well, yeah, the crappy markings for the blue obelisk messed me up and one of my Deinotherium got left behind. We got into the arena, and I'm old school, so I whistled all my Deinotherium into the corner and went off to fetch the boss. Once he threw the cold stone, the fight began. Again, the major gripe I have with these guys is just their size and the saddle. It made it really hard to whistle attack on the boss or to even see where things were. But whistling moved to the other side made up for this as they circled the boss and around 80% of them were actually making contact and attacking the boss. The fight was quite fast, but it felt super slow, but we did manage to defeat the boss in under 5 minutes. But after I went to check my Deinotherium, we had sustained quite a little bit of damage. If the fight had gone on for maybe 2 or 3 more minutes, we may have lost some Deinotherium. But you must remember, these guys did have no veggie cakes. So if those veggie cakes were in the mix, we probably would have ended up maybe half health or above. That is still not bad at all, from 0 mutations and a fresh breed Deinotherium line. Next, to finish things off, I ran the hardest boss on the island, the dragon boss. So for the fight, we'll be using 20 Deinotherium. For the Gamma boss fight, I'll be using primitive saddles on all my dinos. I launched the Gamma fight, and when the dragon did its first land, we got smoked. Like quite literally, the flames cooked us like they just cooked us alive. We lost HP way too quickly, and with no other supporting tames, we had no HP coming back in from heals. This led to our loss quite quickly, and just like that, on Gamma, things were already looking really bad for these guys, but I just couldn't give up. I wanted to now make some adjustments and go again. So for the next Gamma run, I made the following changes. I added 5 veggie cakes to each Deinotherium and gave each Deinotherium a saddle ranging from 45 armor to 53 armor. I then launched the Gamma fight once again. To my surprise, after sitting and taking multiple fire breath attacks, the Deinotherium kinda looked okay. Because of their size, there was almost no way to evade the fire attacks, so after 3 to 4 and they were doing good, I was quite impressed. We did go on to lose 1 Deinotherium, but we actually defeated the boss. Most of the other Deinotherium had done really well and had a lot of HP left. So using a better saddle and veggie cakes makes these guys pretty freaking tanky, and this is one of those benefits that you can't get with large carnivores. So next, I tried the Beta Dragon. After the success we had on the initial Gamma run after I made those changes, I decided to keep everything the same, but instead of 5, I added 10 veggie cakes to each Deinotherium. I launched the fight, and to my damn surprise, man, we were holding up very well. We took multiple waves of flame attacks, but I didn't see any bloody Deinotherium. We were actually taking away at the boss's HP steadily. And before I knew it, the boss was defeated and no Deinotheriums were dead. This was a big win for the team. It showed me how much the veggie cakes and better saddles really enhances these guys. Next, I wanted to try the Alpha. We were doing pretty well now after those changes, and I decided to make absolutely no changes. So they would have the 45 to 53-ish armor saddles, and they would have 10 veggie cakes in each inventory. I launched the Alpha fight. The Dragon's Fire was being easily mitigated by the veggie cakes and the defensive buff from the Deinotherium. Due to its lack of brute strength, it wasn't actually doing that much damage aside from its fire attack, so when it took off, it actually allowed my Deinotherium to eat more veggie cakes and get nearly back to full HP before I landed again. This was one of the fastest Alpha Dragons I've done in quite a while. We took out the Alpha Dragon in under 8 minutes with 0 deaths. After the fight, my Deinotherium were kinda looking good, and only some of them had taken any noticeable damage. They did have no veggie cakes left, so they kinda utilized all the veggie cakes to the max. But are they a good Dragon Boss Dino? In my opinion, they're actually a solid Dragon Boss Dino, and if you have veggie cakes and better saddles, they are a sure shot Dragon Killer. The taming process is a lot. It takes a lot of prep, getting beer, plus there's a cap of level 95 before you can actually tame one of these guys. But unlike the broodmother, the dragon is one of the harder bosses to do because of that fire attack, so I tend to find that people like taking it on last. So by the time you are ready for the dragon boss, you could potentially already have a team of these guys ready to go, and that would also give you more time to find a good saddle blueprint for them. So for the dragon boss, I'd like to say yeah, these guys are a good choice. They can be solid because now you can give them the veggie cakes, and with a better saddle, they're healing so fast and their HP is so high without mutations that they will make a great tanky tame to take into a boss fight that can heal themselves, buff themselves, and have the same hitting power as medium level Rexes. I would actually recommend you use one supporting dino like a Deodon to add just a little bit more healing to them along with the veggie cakes, just for people who don't have a very large amount of veggie cakes, because it did take like 200 veggie cakes to keep all of these guys fed for each fight. But yeah, let me know if you think these guys would be worth it for the dragon boss. Don't forget, if this video was informative and helped you out, gave you a little bit of information, make sure to like, subscribe, share it to your friends, and I'll see you guys on the next one.